Hi everyone, welcome back to Zoho Live. We are talking to Proma Nautiyal today, who's the founder of DigiWitch, a marketing agency that helps brands ace their content and performance marketing strategy. Proma has been in the marketing space for over a decade now. She also has her own community of marketers. It's called the DigiWitch Marketers Club. And she has started working on her personal brand since 2016. So that's one of the main things that we are going to talk to her about personal brand. And since I myself love reading her emails, I thought we should definitely talk to her about email marketing. So thank you so much for joining here in Zoho Live. Proma, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Vanti, and thanks for having me here.
The pleasure is all mine, Proma. Let's begin with personal marketing. Like I said, Proma, the idea that you're not just XYZ person, but you can make a brand out of yourself is exhilarating. It's a relatively new concept, and yet a lot of new age businesses, shall I put it that way, are increasingly using personal branding as their marketing strategy itself, in a sense that it's not the 10th or the 11th thing that they do when they have time. So, talk to us about what really is personal branding and who is it for. Also, how does personal branding differ from branding in a corporate sense?
Okay, sure. Well, when it comes to personal branding, uh, if we want to talk about it in the cut and dry fashion, it is basically, creating a perception about yourself in the minds of others. That's the best way, personal branding can be put across as. So you make a conscious effort as to how people see you. And like you mentioned, personal branding has come to the forefront when it comes to marketing for many businesses because entrepreneurs have understood the fact that they need to have their own presence out in the market. And it's not just the brand's marketing that, the company's brand's marketing that can do the job. Their own brands are extremely important. Thanks to Elon Musk, who has been, a front runner in this case when it comes to personal branding. He has built a very strong one, and it goes and the same can be said for a lot of celebrities and personalities that we see, right? We know their brand because we know them. So this is how, because people at the end of the day, they want to connect to a person, right? It's like we say, we don't really buy a thing, we buy into the story of the thing, of the product. So it is this story that a personal brand basically tells to people around us, and that in a nutshell would be personal branding.
Beautiful. And there is an interesting line that you mentioned. We always knew celebrities were their own brands. But in today's age, we have gone past that. You don't necessarily have to be a celebrity for you to build your own personal brand. Talk to us
Right.
about that. Talk to your journey of building your personal branding that way.
Absolutely. So I kind of stumbled upon personal branding. I did not do it very, it happened unwittingly. I was part of this community. It was an affinity networking platform called BB, where I started blogging. And it was an international platform. A lot of people blogged. And I used to express myself through stories over there. It could be anything up from, my travel logs or anything. It could be my work. So I saw a lot of people, you know, communicating and engaging with me on those posts.
Mm.
Okay. And I realized that they perceive me as a certain person, right? And it's not that I'm talking to them day in and day out, but they have this idea of me, the idea of Proma through those blogs, right? So that's when I realized that you can do this through the content that you put out into the world, through internet. You kind of shape how people perceive you, how they see you. And that's how I started building my journey, personal branding, personal brand basically, and the journey started from there. And
Beautiful.
thankfully I had gathered this idea that this is how it's supposed to happen. But of course the entire journey was not as smooth because I made mistakes. and I learned from them, because we did not have people talking a lot about personal branding back then. And nowadays it is a common topic, right? But
Yes.
yes, definitely it has been a wonderful journey for sure.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful because you say that personal branding is about you consciously creating a perception of yourself out there, and yet your journey has begun. Kind of you did not strategize what your perception is going to be or how people are going to
Absolutely.
perceive you. That brings me to my second question. I mean, I read your blogs. I love them, and in one of your blogs where you talked about personal branding, you had written this: personal branding is not like just cerebral marketing. It's not about techniques or strategies or best practices or anything. It goes a little deeper than that. It is a lot more spiritual, you put it. So talk to us about the spiritual element there, Proma.
Sure, sure, Vanti. That's. I'm really glad that you brought this up. So yes, definitely. Personal branding is not just cerebral, marketing. It has a lot to do with the spiritual part of it. The reason I say that is one of the most important parts of building a personal brand is the why behind it, right? Like much about, I mostly refer to Simon Sinek's start with why always. Um, Over here also, why are we building a personal brand? What's the end goal? Like I mentioned, I made a mistake of not knowing. I did not strategize because I did not know that a strategy is involved here. I did not think about an end goal when I started my journey. That was my mistake. But this is something that must be done. What is the why behind my personal brand? And another core thing about a personal brand is knowing who you are as a person. If we don't know ourselves as a person, there is no way on earth we can, frame perceptions in others' mind about who we are. And this process of understanding who we are as a person is a self awareness exercise. And self awareness has a lot to do with spirituality. When you talk about being spiritual, there's a lot of introspection involved. There's a lot of looking within and understanding who I am, what's my purpose, what am I doing here. So that's the reason I had mentioned this.
Beautiful. That sounds like a much more evolved form of marketing, the way you put it, and it makes total sense too. Thanks for that, Proma. So now let's come to the real question, hitting the bull in its eye. How does one do personal branding? What are the first few steps to begin with, and how to ace forward from there?
Okay. Okay, let's jump right into it. So, like I mentioned, if somebody wants to get started with personal branding, one of the first things they need to do is do this certain exercise. Sit down, think deep and think hard, and find out what are the things that where do their strengths lie. Okay, so many a times understanding yourself is definitely the first part of the process. And in case it is difficult, it doesn't come easily to everyone to just sit, introspect, and come up with answers. So to them, I mostly, ask them to do carry out a 16 personality test, which is a Myers-Briggs assessment, MBTI assessment. It gives you such a good idea of who you are as a person, what your strengths, what are your areas of improvement. So you basically get an idea of who you are as a person, where do your strengths lie. Now we are going to focus much on the strengths because personal branding has a lot to do with building credibility, about building, authority in a certain space, right? So we are going to focus on those strengths, and we are also going to focus on how we are going to help people out, because just having a personal brand is not enough. We need to do something with the kind of power, I would definitely call it power, when done right. So, how are we going to help people? So, we need to know if we are really good at it. And even if we are maybe 85 to 90% at it, we need to continuously keep upskilling and get as close to 100% as possible. I'm not talking about perfection, but getting closer to being a person of authority and credibility where people can come and get their answers. right? So we have followers on social media, we have subscribers on YouTube. There's a reason why they put their, I would say, trust in us. And they hit the subscribe button with the hope of something that's going to help them. So this is something we need to focus on when creating personal brand, is providing value. Once we know who we are, what are we good at, consistently providing and creating and providing value of is quintessential.
Beautiful. I read somewhere today that someone had said, sell when you're helping someone, or that's the
Mm-hmm.
time to sell. So
Absolutely.
yours is a lot
Mhm.
in sync with that. Yes. Proma, again, personal branding. It seems like we think it suits a founder, an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, or an SMB owner, or whatever. But we don't see personal branding or envision personal branding a lot in the context of a bigger corporate. So, how does personal branding play in a bigger corporate at an employee level?
Yes, it is actually very, very important to consider personal branding in the corporate structure as well. So many a time, the best way to see it is when it comes to the corporate structure, there are so many people involved. Differentiation becomes key when it comes to the corporate. And personal brand is how you differentiate yourself when it comes to the millions. Okay, let's not talk in millions, thousands of employees who are there in an organization. Even in a certain team, there will be, say, at least 30 to 45 people. When it comes to corporate, the smallest team maybe. How do you differentiate yourself over there? One of the key factors that can help you differentiate in a corporate is proactiveness. Being a proactive person in the team, being that person who's just, you will see there will be people who are high flying achievers in a team. They are doing their work well, but they are also the people who, who will jump in and do that dance, the what do you call this, flash mob dances, and they will
Yeah.
be there emceeing, they will be doing a lot of things, and people know them by their first name, last name, whatever. They might even have a nickname.
Mm.
So they have literally created a personal brand for themselves, and that does not go unnoticed. We have
Right.
to get noticed if you want to get that raise. We have to get
Right.
noticed if we want to get promoted. And
Mm.
that is how it works when it comes to the corporates.
Beautiful. And y- this is within the corporate setup. Would you talk about the importance of personal branding outside of the corporate also for an employee in terms of
Uh,
carrying the brand as being a brand advocate?
Yes, definitely. So, what happens nowadays is, I don't know the exact statistics of it, but a lot of HR keeps screening employee profiles when it comes to social media. They actually go through, how people are communicating when it comes to, of course, you just set up a Google alert, you will get to know what is being spoken about your company, right? So
Right.
the best thing about employees being brand ambassadors is that it is the best thing. It's like, if your employees saying something good about you is something every company wants. Now when it comes to this employee who is building his or her personal brand, they are they are the brand ambassador for their company, and at the same time, through their association, they can build their own profiles, right? So
Right.
for example, somebody, okay, a blue chip corporate, say,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
there's this employee who is working there,
Mm.
and they get this kit on the first day at work. So this is a classic example of an employee acting as a brand ambassador without even knowing it, because they are
Yeah.
posting it on, say, LinkedIn, that
Yeah.
hey, I got this kit from my company.
Right.
And many a times the company might be, putting that message across that this is what you have to do, but most of
Right.
the time it's not. The employee is putting out that message themselves. The
Right.
next thing is that employee has gotten into a company which is well known, right? That brings in credibility to their own account. At that
Right.
point of time, if they are not using their profile, their own
Mm.
handles to get their message across, network with more people in that organization and grow, they're
Mm.
definitely losing out on something.
That's a beautiful point. Yeah, it happens all around us, and these are just small opportunities which we could make use of, and yet many of us tend to miss these. And adding to that, I don't remember recall the name of this marketing leader, but it's not just him. I have heard this from many marketing leaders out there recently, that they try experiments where they send out their campaigns by selecting a few employees in their company, handpicked employees in their company, instead of putting out that marketing from their brand name or the main handle. So
Mm-hmm.
they see that they have almost, at least all of them who talk about it, have noted some 100 to 300% increase in reach of the campaign when it is done through their employees, through means of employee advocacy, than through the brand itself, which is how we are traditionally practicing to do it. So thanks for adding to that, Proma. And how would you talk about measuring the KPIs when it comes to performance marketing? And how do you calculate the ROI? Because there is going to be a lot of time you would involve in it, and in some cases money also. So how do you measure whether your branding has worked or not?
Well, there are quite a few KPIs that we can consider when it comes to personal branding. There is reach, there is engagement, there are follower or subscriber counts. So there are a ton of KPIs, you know. So every analytics will give you some numbers, some percentages. But there is this two things that I personally like when it comes to personal branding KPIs. One is the comments on your blog or your newsletter, anything that has a personal touch to it. And the second one are the messages you receive from people.
Ah,
The reason I'm saying this is, everything else I won't call it vanity metrics, because at the end of the day I'm a marketer and these numbers mean a lot to me. So they are definitely metrics. But when somebody takes that time and the pain to reply to messages, comment on a post, or send something heartfelt, that is something that goes beyond any kind of numbers. And that is the kind of engagement I would. It's truly abstract. It's very difficult to measure, but that reflects the kind of personal branding efforts. How it is coming about.
beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And Proma, there is a bit of an inhibition in people's mind when we talk about personal branding. It is perceived as a way of self-boasting. I mean, leave aside the word or the term personal branding, but when you talk about self-marketing, it has always
Mhm.
been spoken of in a negative way, like beating your own drums and stuff like that. Not many people are comfortable doing it, especially for that reason. I don't want to be seen as a self-boasting person out there. So, did you face this personally? Because you are someone who is into personal branding for a long time, and you love it, and you have clearly aced it. So, have you faced it? What would you tell those people who don't put themselves out there?
Oh, Vanity, I've myself like really struggled with this. Okay, so see, the only time we can't really boast, we have done this and I'm doing that. Only when our mothers speak about us like that, maybe that's acceptable. But uh, it is clearly, I used to get very uncomfortable talking about my own self. And when it comes to personal branding, the reason a lot of people try it but they are not very successful at it or struggle a lot is because of the monster called imposter syndrome. While it is a very difficult issue to handle for a lot of people, it is also, it is what helps us ace ourselves from time to time, like get better, even better than we were before, because we somewhere or the other we are second guessing ourselves that whether we are good enough or not. this is a conversation again where the spiritual part of personal branding comes in. We need to have that talk with ourselves that it if we are so given to the idea that we are not good enough,
Mm.
can't we be given to that idea that we might be good enough as well? That we are actually good at something. We can't be like really bad at everything, right? It is not statistically possible. There is always a 50% chance of good and bad.
Right.
So, this is a conversation we need to have with ourselves. And
Mm.
the fact that if we don't cheerlead ourselves,
Mm.
who will? If we are
Mm.
not trusting us,
Right. Right.
if I'm not trusting myself, then who will? So, yes, this is an honest and open conversation that everybody needs to have with themselves who are struggling with this bit.
Right, right. And to top that, you also, as a primary agenda, you also speak of help people, add value to people,
Yes,
and ace at your game. If you're talking about something, you don't have to know the topic to perfection, but know it close to perfection. Always strive to get there. So that plus, if you have to put yourselves out there to sometimes showcase who you are and your accolades, feel free to do that without imposter syndrome, is what you're saying. Thanks for that, Proma. Yes.
um, in fact, thank you for bringing that point up, Vanati, because one of the core things of personal branding is building credibility and trust
Mm.
and establishing yourself as an authority. If
Right.
we don't talk about why we are good at something,
Mm.
we can't get people to believe in us, and we
Exactly.
cannot establish that personal brand. It's a precursor to it. So
Right.
yes,
So
definitely.
there is no point talking about I'm good at this instead of showing people why you are good at this. In which case, you
Absolutely.
probably don't even have to talk about, I mean, explicitly say that you're good at it. People are going to know that you're good at it. Yes, great.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I'm a person who thinks that you can learn a lot through what not to do than by knowing what exactly to do. So going by that, what are some of the strict no-nos with personal branding, Proma?
Okay, strict no-nos when it comes to personal branding. Okay, this is a point that I often talk about. In the journey of personal branding, you have the four W's. At least I follow this. You have the why. Why are we building this personal brand? What's the purpose behind it? The what. What are we going to communicate through this personal brand? The who are we talking to as in our
Mm.
target audience,
Mm.
and where.
Mm.
So which are the channels where we are going to find our target audience and we are going to talk to.
Mm.
Now the biggest errors that creep up are in these four W's.
Mm.
Okay, so firstly, not knowing our why.
Mm.
Why are we doing it, setting
Mm.
across on this you know this journey without knowing the goal. We don't even have an
Mm.
end goal and we have started.
Mm.
So what
Mm.
happens is you will be doing a lot of stuff, you'll be consistent, you'll be posting content, but how are you going to measure results when you
Mm.
don't know where we are heading?
Right.
So knowing that why the
Mm.
is very very important.
Mm.
Secondly, again, if we are not clear about whom we are talking to, who are our
Mm.
target audience,
Mm.
that's a critical mistake that we really need to take care
Mm.
of. We can't
Mm.
start
Mm.
off. It's like it lies at the base of marketing.
Right.
Personal
Right.
branding again comes under this entire thing.
Yeah.
And where spreading yourself too thin across social media handles, it is so difficult to create content which is platform specific. So
Mm.
try to understand like exactly where are you going to find your primary audience, at least to start with, so that you know what kind of questions are coming in, what kind of comments are coming in, and you can go ahead and uh, this is the place where I'm getting maximum engagement, I can stay here. Or if you don't see a lot of engagement, then you change your course. But spreading yourself too thin is something that is discouraged.
Okay.
So I guess I covered all of them, right?
Where?
And
Yeah.
what?
What?
The
Yeah.
confused messaging. If
mm,
we are confused again with our why, our
mm,
messaging is going to be really confused. People would never know what to expect from us.
mm,
So, this is one question I get a lot.
mm,
What if I am good at multiple things? What if
mm,
I'm good at three to four different things? And I want everybody to know that I'm good at these three to four things.
mm,
So my answer to them generally is, you don't hide exactly, it's okay to be good at three to four things and letting people know that you're good at three to four things. What you do is every platform gives you a bio, and you have the pipe symbol. Use the two features as much as you can. Put in your bio what are the three to four things you're good at, but through your content, tell them what you're best at. So, for
mm,
example, I talk about marketing, building communities,
mm,
I advocate mental health.
mm,
So, say these are the three things I talk about. You
mm,
will find these three in my
mm,
bio on Twitter,
mm,
right? And at the same time, through my content, you will understand how much percentage of it is marketing, how much is communities, and how much
mm.
is mental health advocacy.
Right, right.
So basically strategizing these things, but doing all of these without any specific goal in mind and spreading yourself too thin is an error that must be avoided.
Good, good. Thank you. Let me ask like a novice question. When you talk about the why of it, you mentioned it earlier also, and you say it's the most critical thing. For most people, the why is I just want followers, I want to be popular, and I want to build a brand out of myself. But I mean, most people have that, and still that doesn't cut it. So, what exactly should be overseen other than this aspect alone, other than just running for followers?
That's a great question, Vanti. So what happens is, this is another mistake that needs to be avoided, is building these many number of followers is something extrinsic. It's not
Mm,
intrinsic to us.
mm,
We are looking at something that is working for someone else, and we are
mm,
trying to make it work for ourselves as well.
mm,
So this is something that needs to be avoided, because at the end of the day, followers will keep increasing. Maybe I'm
mm,
looking at 4 million followers, but
mm,
what am I going to do with the 4 million followers? And why are
mm,
they going to stick by with me? They might
mm,
unfollow me as well, right? If
mm,
I don't have an end goal for them.
mm,
So, continuously building a journey for our followers as well. Having
mm,
an account is not enough. Like I
mm,
mentioned, like you also mentioned, providing the kind of value is also important throughout the journey. So,
mm,
at the end of the day, for personal brand, the end goal, if somebody is very confused about what the end goal should be,
mm,
providing value would be a very, very good end goal for
mm.
everyone.
Good.
And when they are providing value, they are bound to increase their followers, their subscribers, their engagement, because people will find you relatable, and they will try to communicate more with you, and that helps us grow.
That's great. That's beautiful. And that could be an end goal for everybody watching this. If you don't know what is your end goal going to be, let's just start with how to add value to whoever is reading what you're posting. Great. And Proma, let's make a sweet segue into email marketing now. So it is common knowledge that email marketing is one of the most effective channels of marketing even today, because we live in a world of instant chat platforms. There is WhatsApp, Instagram, Signal, and whatnot. And yet reports still say that email marketing channels are more effective than SEO, affiliate marketing, and even social media marketing, etc. So why do you think it is the case? I'm asking why, because what is that X factor that makes email marketing relevant even today in a world of instant chat, in a world that's in instant chat platform?
Absolutely. I love email marketing as as a marketer, and also as a reader.
Mm,
I enjoy reading the emails that come my way, whether they are promotional or whichever newsletters.
mm,
So yes, according to one of McKinsey's reports, I remember uh, it mentioned email marketing is 40 times more effective than social media marketing. And I was trying to understand why it is so. um, like you mentioned, instant chats are, you get WhatsApp messages from brands these days, and many people even argue that email marketing is very intrusive. But I feel many a times that, anything can be intrusive if consider that, but you always have this option. They are sitting in your inbox. You always have the option to go and check that message. But the most beautiful part about email marketing is you may or may not see an ad. But
Mm.
when it comes to emails, that email does land up in your inbox. Hopefully, that person likes your brand. And even if they are not clicking on that email, they see that it is from Proma at DigiWitch, right? So that
Mm.
works as brand
Right.
awareness right then and there, even if they are not clicking that
Wow.
email and looking at
Mm.
it, right?
Right.
So it is definitely effective. And there are so many ways, there are so many different types of email marketing. There is brand awareness, there's promotional and transactional, there are reminders, there's so much you can do. It is so I get very enthusiastic when talking about email marketing. There's so much you can do with it. It has a lot of potential, so definitely it makes
Right.
sense. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, it also goes without saying that content is the key, be it personal branding or be it email marketing, your content has to be good. And I mean, you would agree to it. You are an author, you have your own book that has come out recently, which is called For the Love of Writing. So, aside from that, I think we can agree that automating your emails perfectly is another critical factor when it comes to email marketing, which most people surprisingly don't do well. They only scratch the surface of email automation, but they don't get deep into it in terms of setting up their criteria and having the entire flow set up and doing it meticulously every time based on your specific agenda. Do you relate to that? Do you think this is the case? Because I personally feel marketers are still not exploring the extent of the email automation. What would you say to that, Proma?
Absolutely, Vananti. This is something that should be done. And I know for a fact that a lot of SMBs and small businesses should actually start using this feature of automation. They are still, like you mentioned, scratching the surface when it comes to it. You see the bigger brands doing a brilliant job at,
Mm. Mm.
ensuring all consumer touch points are covered with the right emails at the right time. The
Right.
problem with automation not being done correctly or efficiently is because it's a cumbersome process to begin with, and it needs a lot of I wouldn't say it needs a lot of know-how, it needs a lot of patience.
Right.
So right, and also working with the development team. So this is one place where the marketer and product marketing and product team need to work together. Because,
Mm.
for example, if you are working with triggers, email
Mm.
marketing triggers,
Mm.
then you need to know what kind of event on the platform is associated with this particular trigger that is sent, that kicks off that email and sends it to the
Right.
inbox, right?
Right. Mm.
So working product team and marketing team working together when it comes to email marketing is extremely important.
Mm.
Knowing which are the triggers, creating the content, and being extremely patient about the entire process, because
Mm.
even a single glitch
Mm.
can really make a mess that
Mm.
you can't have your emails come back to you.
Yeah.
Once
Yeah.
gone, it's like shooting an arrow, so we
Yeah.
have to be very, very careful with it. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 I agree. And talking about email marketing, talk to us about the tools involved, Proma, because that is the key here. So, how do you go forward and choose the best tool for your email marketing and end to end? I'm not just talking about one tool. And you would have also seen your own customers make mistakes with rationing their tools, not spending a bit more on one more tool and etc., etc.
Mhm.
So what are some of the tools that you think are core, you cannot do away with it, you cannot ration it, and how to pick the best tool in the market?
Okay, so one of the most important things is when you're using a tool, you might be spending month on month through a subscription. but don't look at it as an expense. It's not a huge investment, it's an investment, because it's going to give you the kind of returns that you never thought in
Mm,
due time.
mm,
So I have actually seen a lot of people seeing these as expenses,
mm,
and like you mentioned, using a tool less.
mm,
We need to have overlaps, and we need to ensure that the entire flow
mm.
is
Yes.
complete end to
Mm,
end.
mm,
So a few features that you should definitely look for
mm,
are, customization,
mm,
as much of customization as possible. So
mm,
trying, getting the name of the customer
mm,
in their email, getting giving them the ID, order IDs, for example,
mm,
if it's a product,
mm, mm,
um, we are talking about.
mm.
So mass customization, not it is actually mass customization, because we are sending out customized emails to a lot of people.
Yeah.
That is one thing. Finding an email client that lets you create flow charts in
Right.
basically workflows where
Mm,
you have the if thens. So
mm,
basically, if a person opens the email, they see this. If they
mm.
don't open it, maybe for 2 days, then they get this kind of an email. What
Right.
this does is that even if an email went unnoticed or
Mm,
unanswered, you can send across a reminder saying that, hey, maybe you missed this email. We had this offer for you. Would you like to check it out? So another thing that becomes very important here, which is not really a tool, but a team, is like you mentioned, the content.
mm.
One thing that I've noticed, the emails that do really well are the ones which are very conversational, which are very, which are basically, yeah, conversational. They're just talking to you rather than stating facts.
Right.
So this is something that needs to be done. So the tools to use here are, there are a ton of AI writing tools
Mm,
that anybody can invest in case they are not
mm.
okay with typing their own messages.
Right.
So I have covered mass automation, mass customization, AI writing tools, workflows.
Any tools surrounding email marketing, like say for lead gen, because at the end of the day, any campaign you would send out, you would want to make a customer out of it.
Oh, absolutely.
Something like
When
a
it comes to
customer
lead
relationship
gen,
management. Mm,
automation, there are tons of LinkedIn, not LinkedIn automation, the automations that you can use with LinkedIn, where you can get a lot of emails and you can scrape them, and you can
right.
use, send automated emails to a lot, to all these people.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And I would also, I think, additionally, if you're setting up, I mean, if when you're talking about tools, it doesn't make sense, like Proma said, to ration on, okay, I'll have limited features and this is okay. That go a little broader, because you're going to
Yeah.
reap the benefit of what you're investing in these tools. So maybe have your email marketing platform connected to a proper CRM system, and maybe have one more tool that would help you talk about what people are talking about this campaign on the social media, etc., etc., and have a proper communication platform that connects to all the stakeholders who worked in putting out this campaign, and making it a success. So that is that.
Oh,
And let's also talk about the no-nos of email marketing, Proma. Absolute no. Please don't do this when you're talking about email marketing. What's that?
absolute no-no would be, for a person who loves email marketing like myself. uh, I get really annoyed when I get too many emails in very short duration. So,
Mm,
anyways, our email inboxes are always overflowing. So, we do not want to do that to anybody. We do not want to send consistent emails. This is one place where consistency needs and enthusiasm needs to be curbed. So, not too many emails. And there are certain few things like, when we are sending promotional or transactional emails, if we are not checking that uh, box, and we are just sending it as an email to people who have not signed up for our promotional emails, that is something that is mars their experience with our brand. So for
Right.
example, if I have I have subscribed to newsletters, but I did not check the promotional email box,
Hmm.
but that email comes to me.
Hmm.
This is something that should be pretty much avoided as much as possible, because
Right.
I have seen people doing that, and that is
Right.
mars customer experience to a large degree.
Yeah. That just breaks the trust immediately.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Okay. And Proma, I know you don't just specialize in personal branding and email marketing. You do marketing as a whole, 360-degree marketing, a full stack marketer, if I may. So, what are your three favorite marketing strategies? If I were to ask you to pick three different marketing strategies.
Oh my God, you finally managed to put me on a spot. Manasi.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. I'm
Yeah,
ready to know. Yeah.
yes, I'm at my wit's end. I'm just thinking, one of my, even if not three, let me
Hmm.
come up with the first one.
Uh-huh.
Uh, it's always marketing should be people centric first.
Right.
It should not be ROI based. It should
Hmm.
not, I'm not saying should not be, sorry, don't quote me on that. Uh, it's not the first thing. When I do it, at least,
Hmm.
I always make sure that people at the end of the day is at the forefront of the entire, be it the campaign, be it the marketing message, be it whatever.
Hmm.
Because what is marketing? At the end of the day, it's, we are communicating to people.
Right.
And even when it comes to B2B marketing, which
Hmm.
I am mostly into,
Hmm.
uh, I always say at the end of the day, your messages are being seen by a human being. They
Hmm.
might be, they might be in any role in that particular organization, but they are a human being. So
Right.
be relatable, be
Hmm.
conversational. So that
Hmm.
is one.
Hmm.
The second one is, now coming to numbers. I
Hmm.
love numbers as much as I love words. So,
Hmm.
yes, you should have a very, very clear goal as to where you are headed.
Hmm.
So, that's not really a strategy, but
Hmm.
I would say being very clear about
Hmm.
what you're doing and
Hmm.
who you are targeting for
Right.
that particular goal,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
having the channels set. So that
Hmm.
is very clear, cut and dry when it comes to marketing. So,
Right.
Vanati, would you be happy if I just give you two?
Definitely. Please go ahead. You're not at gunpoint.
Perfect.
Yeah. So you're saying content is the key. Yes, content is the king. Yes, but also always have a good sense of numbers in your head. Know where you're going and see if the numbers are speaking to that. Thank you so much, Proma. Let's see if we have any comments or questions that have come up. Omkar Kamam is saying Zoho Campaigns is the best email marketing software, helps to grow the number of successful deals. Thank you, Omkar, and I agree. We also have, okay, somebody named Home has said, okay, this is a very interesting comment rather. Elon Musk has 95 million followers while Tesla has 15 million. What are the risks when a personal brand becomes more powerful than the brand itself? I think in case of Elon Musk, he doesn't have a problem because he is the founder of the company. But assuming, I think your question assumes that if it were to happen for any other brand, where it happens to a non-founder or an employee's personal brand is way over in terms of reach when compared to the corporate's brand itself. I think it still won't be a problem if you hired right. If you know what is your culture like, and will the person still fit in to the culture of your brand? Is their language and your language syncing up, and is your message syncing up at large, and not if not at specifics? Then I think it still shouldn't be a problem. Wouldn't you say, Proma?
Absolutely. Yes, Vanati. Um, what we are putting out there, even if it is, whether or not it is about the company or not, we have to be very conscious of the fact that our words, our content reflect as to who we are as a person.
Right.
So we should be very mindful of the kind of words we are using, the kind of messages we are putting across. And yes, a personal brand that has become more powerful than the brand is could be a boon or a bane. So Being mindful is extremely important. Yes.
Thank you. We'll end the show with that note. Thanks for joining us, Proma, and thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time in another episode. Thanks again. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.